Hello. That was pretty quick tonight. Is nobody watching YouTube? I am glad to say all our lovely, lovely, lovely MacBiters are. Excellent. Now it's saying 0. So you may or may not have heard half of that, but I'm confident everything's all right now. Been a bit of one of those days, hasn't it, Mike? But all of that will be revealed in the week at MacBites headquarters, which is getting more surreal by the moment. So how the devil is everybody? Who have we got here? Let's get the glasses up. Now, I'm trying to zoom in on my computer now by pinching the screen. Yes, did I mention one of those days? Oh, what's it doing now? Ah, there we go. There we go. Ah, Johnny I. How was everybody's holiday? Hello, Deb. Hello, Graham. Hello, Paul. Good to have you with us. Oh, bunny ears, Jonathan. Bunny ears. You didn't hear any of it. Fabulous. I said hello and welcome. YouTube swore me blind I was live. It clearly lied. Never mind. I'm here now. Happy and still Christmassy. Well, guess what's happened here? Somebody who should remain nameless, Mike, has infected me with a cold. He is in deep doo-doo, aren't you, dear? Yeah. Deep doo-doo. So lots of sympathy rolling my way. None, of course, for Mike, who's still ill. You can hear with the cough and the cold, and somewhere I've got some medication. Oh, there it is. Mike's also coughing his guts up, as you can imagine. But don't worry, we're not infectious on the air. I've got adult chesty cough syrup. That'll probably rot your teeth, won't it? Full of sugar and cherries. So who knows? If I need it, it's there. I intend to soldier on. For those of you who have been with us for many, many years, Graham, Jonathan, you might remember I did a live session once, a MacBites learning session. Can't for the life of me remember which one it was. But afterwards, I put some photographs up of my desk, and is Kim here yet? Let's keep this quiet if she's not. I had a tooth abscess and I was manfully soldiering on with it. I was drugged up to the eyeballs. I'd had more painkillers than you could shake a stick at. I'd tried everything, and I'd tried mixtures and concoctions of them all. I was floating in my happy place. I'm not that bad this time, but I do actually have a cold. Naughty, naughty Mike. Lola's had an absolute ball. She's exhausted. Did you notice she only had one treat tonight? She was too exhausted to even eat it.
No, she had 2 downstairs.
Did she really? She had 2 downstairs as well. Oh, yes, but schmackos are tiny. She does prefer rodeo sticks.
She does.
She does. Right, would show you what's going on, wouldn't I? Let's get my desktop shared. That's a good start, isn't it? Heaven knows what state this presentation's in. Like I say, it's been one of those days, weeks, months, years, fill in the blank. But let's get going with it. Yay! So who got what for Christmas? You vaguely remember that. Oh, Jonathan, I won't forget it. It was agonising. My mum told me there were 2 things in life, apparently, that she'd... Yes, she did. Oh, God, Mike's singing now. Be grateful I have muted his microphone as you can't hear this. Yes, she told me that an abscess was worse than giving birth. For which I was prepared to take her wisdom on the point. What was the other thing? Was it kidney stones? I've had 2 of them. Yeah, kidney stones, not good. Not good. Anyway, I'm here now, and the abscesses have disappeared, thankfully. But the desk it had every painkiller known to mankind on it. Right, I've moved on a bit. Ooh, that was good. There's possibly something that's not on there, but never mind. I'm making this up as I go along. But who doesn't want to know about weird software woes? And just to prove the point, we think we have actually fixed that one. I am holding on to my wooden desk for dear life that we have actually solved the problem. But then we've got deals and freebies. So we have freebies and lots of New Year's deals. Then there's Scrivener, the perils of copying and pasting. That was an interesting one. That came out of our Slack chat. More on Slack later, which is going very, very nicely. Good to hear from you between the shows, must admit. Never going to get used to not having you around now. Oh, good. Right, well, it's staying. So hopefully you'll join in and play along. Mike's got the second part of lists. Then we have got Slack. We've got something else, and when I work out what it is, I'll let you know. And I do have an unboxing, which is kind of episodic today, because the unboxing is going to make 2 appearances. It has a starring role in the week at MacBites headquarters. All will be revealed as to why. It's a good one. It's a good one. So let's get on with it. Right, before we go any further, though, have you been unceremoniously dumped out of HD? To make sure that you have the best quality, select 720p from the cog below the video, down on the right-hand side. Has it done it to you tonight, Jonathan? Did it dump you? How was Mummy Isaac's? And how did the brother's birthday go? We need to know these things. Good evening, Pete. Pete, if you missed the what we're doing tonight, let me back up a minute. Look at that. Bang in the middle. Scrivener, the perils of copying and pasting. We are going to stop you doing that. Doesn't work well.
What's a Manfrotto tripod ball head?
Ooh. Yes, a Manfrotto is a tripod. A ball head is a ball head to put on said tripod. Teddy bear mug. Excellent, Graham. I'm impressed. And lenses. Excellent. Mac Pro for me. Sadly not. No, not yet, Neil. Notice the not yet there. Right, so where we were. We were the week at MacBites headquarters. It's a short week because we were actually with you on Tuesday, weren't we? Which was, because if you're anything like me, you have no idea what day of the week it is now. It was Christmas Eve. And on Christmas Eve, ooh, yes, we had a show. And we had a complete ball. Slightly different because we introduced the Slack thing. And the running order went out of the window, if you recall. We moved the Slack thing. But never mind. Before we knew it, it was Wednesday. Now, if you are with us in the Slack room, and if not, it's macbites.co.uk/Slack. If you're not a member, it will prompt you to join. If you are a member, it will take you straight in. But Wednesday was Christmas Day. I actually thought Mike had managed to surprise me. I should have known better. We were leaving. We headed off to our friends for lunch. And an echo demanded my urgent attention. Not unusual. But that wasn't my echo. So somebody in the vicinity of my Wi-Fi clearly had access to an echo. I could have set it up. It could have been mine. I could have been controlling their lights from my car. But no, I left it alone. I didn't steal it. We headed off to lunch. And as you can see, we had lunch at that point, because it's 2:45 at that point. There was Mike's gift. If you've been in the Slack room, you know what that was. Oh, it was huge. Mike said, I fancy a Toblerone. I found a Toblerone for him.
And it hasn't been touched.
He hasn't touched it. He hasn't eaten it yet. He couldn't get in fast enough, though. Look at the keenness on that face. And then he...
I would like to know when the best before date is.
Yes, we'll check the best before date. That is one huge Toblerone. I wondered if inside it was baby Toblerones, but I'm led to believe it's one huge Toblerone. He was thrilled, as you can see. Look at that smile. But then it faded as the magnitude of the consumption task ahead of him dawned on him. We're actually thinking we're going to need a circular saw, or at a very minimum, a jigsaw. Oh, Pete, would I curse your name? But I took on board what you said and thought, how difficult can this be? Now we know. How big are the chunks? They are actually the size you see there. So inside that, we haven't opened it yet, but I've seen pictures on Amazon. We will take a picky. In fact, we're going to take video. It is actually that size, and I think that's about 5 inches tall and 5 inches wide. It's huge. But because we've been poorly, chocolate's the last thing that you can contemplate eating. But it's there. Lola's had her eye on it. She's not allowed chocolate, full stop. Poisonous to dogs. Very sadly, poisonous to dogs, so she won't be having any either. We'll get her some doggy chocolate drops. Palm her off with that. She'll be thrilled. I can see I'm going to have to go to the dog shop and get the 300 weight of dog chocolates and turn it into a Toblerone for her. But yeah, that is 4.5 kilos, which is about 10 pounds in weight. No, he's not. Mike's 5'10", so you can see the size of that. I think it was about 80 centimetres long. But he had no idea. What was funny was the box on the right-hand side that says Toblerone was hidden in the box on the left-hand side right on the floor with all of the packaging in it. And I'd had it secreted in my studio, which is full of boxes anyway, so he wouldn't have known. And just as we were leaving, I said, I've got another gift for our friends. I said, can you just stick it in the car? So it was too big to even wrap. I didn't have wrapping paper big enough. So he dragged it down and put it in the car, thinking it was for them, and got there and said, oh, well, who's this one for? And I said, actually, that's yours. So it was a complete surprise. But soon Christmas Day was over and we were into Thursday. Somebody, the minute we came back from our friends, which was about 4:30, 4:45, something like that, fell straight into bed and was not seen again. Did I mention a cold? Man flu. Until guess what? Oh, yes. He loves sport on Amazon Prime. I do think they do it very well. If you're into your sport and you have access to Amazon Prime, they do it very well. Of course, what happened went 1-0 down in about, 10 minutes? Yeah. I won't say he was poorly. He forgot the game was on. But I did remind him. But it's all right. They redeemed themselves, thankfully. But the air was blue. Which neatly leads us up to today. Friday, Christmas week. What could possibly go wrong? You know, don't you? Amazon would you? Now, we're going to play a game of Amazon-based maths. This is a good one. Right, now follow along. Don't lose the plot here. We live at number 1. We were expecting 3 Amazon deliveries today to number 1. When the driver arrived with copious instructions to just leave the deliveries in the porch, he started playing the 1812 on the doorbell. Mike was on the phone, Lola was on the prowl, so the Amazon man wanted me to open the door. So there I am, trying to open the door, keep Lola in, sign for the parcels, not pleased. This would be because, since I was juggling Lola, her bed, the door, 4 parcels and the idiot at the door, I couldn't get the light on, nor did I have my glasses. So you can imagine how I was less than pleased on discovering that the item I needed to sign for was actually for number 2. Following along, are we here? Now, the lack of a light and glasses meant I mistook number 2, because there was a name on it, for number 4. So I thought we had a parcel for number 4 that was delivered here. Clearly not. Now, fun was that the bloke from number 4 was by this time marauding up the road in hot pursuit of the Amazon man. He'd had a delivery notification, said it had arrived, but he had had no delivery. In the meanwhile, Mike was in the garden with Lola witnessing that less than edifying sight, and he explained we'd got a parcel that wasn't ours. He went in to get it to find out it wasn't for number 4 either. So Mike took the parcel to number 2, while the Amazon man was stood looking confused and being bawled at from the bloke from number 4. So, upshot of it was, the Amazon man was so fraught he hadn't got a clue where he'd delivered the parcel that was intended for number 4. I ended up with my 3 and the one for number 2, which Mike took across. Did I ever say it's simple here? Because it's not. Life is never simple here. But at that point, Mike decided he'd take Lola out for a walk. How much trouble could they possibly get in? Don't ask. Just don't ask. I actually thought about this and I thought, that about summed it up, didn't it, Mike? The wacky races. Mike took Lola out, so there they were, walking along, minding their own business. As you can see, an average scene about 10 houses away from us. He was passing the local petrol station, but let's take a closer look. Not the usual way to park a car, is it? In someone else's front garden, upside down. We've actually discussed this in a WhatsApp group with our local friends, and everyone's agreed it's a straight road. I mean, completely straight for a mile. So how on earth? And the car, inadvertently, is also facing the wrong way. Now, did this mean Other drivers slowed down. No, look at the speed of that. They all decided they were trying to emulate the idiot. Happy to report, by some miracle, Mike and Lola returned unscathed. But seriously. And it turned out that the family whose house that is, beautiful detached house, are on holiday. Do we live on the wacky races circuit? Do you know, that's exactly what our friend said. One of them came back. She lives about the same distance from that house as we do, but in the other direction. We live to the left of that as you're looking at it, and she lives to the right. And it's about 10 to 12 houses. It's not that many at all. And she said, good grief, it was only a couple of weeks ago somebody hit the bollard. And I said, I know! It's only by good luck they've not ended up in our garden. About 18 months ago, a car did exactly the same thing. They are obviously going far too fast, despite the fact the road is deliberately narrowed in two places. And he took off. He completely lost it. Took off, and the car ended up going through our neighbour's wall, through their hedge, clean through the garden, and landed sort of hitting the garage. Not great. But that was today. That was today. Anyway, on to our first techie. This one's good because we've solved it. You may remember a couple of weeks back, I had a problem with my beloved Camtasia. Now, I used ScreenFlow for years and years and years, and I think virtually every one of you, if you have the need for screen recording, also uses ScreenFlow. I switched, and I have no problem that I switched. There's just a couple of features that make it the right choice for me. And Mike followed. I've no idea why. Doesn't usually. He drags his feet. But that's Mike. So I switched. I was trying to remember. I think it was the summer of 2018, wasn't it? Possibly late on summer of 2018. But it's been absolutely rock solid until it started doing that, which is a green border appearing on my recordings. So it was recording, but the recording had a green border on it. Now, the problem that you witnessed live was also it was sending the computer absolutely crazy. So in the end, I had to stop it, and I used ScreenFlow instead. So on seeing that border, not a happy bunny. Now, in terms of fixing it, Mike discovered the solution. I have 3 screens. Now, ScreenFlow can record multiple screens, which was a new feature of version 9. Camtasia can't do that. So in this dialog box that you get, that's the Camtasia recorder, you can choose you can choose a screen, but just one. That's the one on the left-hand side. Then next to that, you've got Epoch Cam. That's where you choose your webcam. So you can choose one device from there. Then you've got your microphones, and then you toggle off the system audio or not. And that is what controls that. So technically speaking, I've never had a problem when it comes to recording. You just set that up in there, drag that window wherever you want it, and press record. But what was actually happening was, randomly, I was getting that green border, and it really was random. So, it was discovered thus. If that recording window was on screen 1 and I was recording screen 1, everything was fine. And if it was on 2 and I was recording screen 2, everything was fine. And if it was on screen 3 and I was recording screen 3, everything was fine. But if it was on 1 and I was recording 2 or 3, or 2 and I was recording 1 or 3, or 3 and I was recording 1 or 2, got the border on it. So the last update clearly broke it completely. I'm not happy. But at least Mike found the solution. So tonight everything is fine and dandy and humming along. Because what I did was I made sure that that recorder was on the right screen, so my iMac screen, and then I pressed record. How do you decide that you're going to break that? I don't get software companies, I really don't. So that one was solved and sorted out. As you can see, I'm poorly infected. Right, there's some deals on at the moment that you may be interested in. One is from Mariner Software. They do a whole range of apps. Who's got any of their applications? I think I've got some inadvertently. There's a couple that are fantastic that I use, and they're brilliant, but I do wish they'd update them. They look ancient. But particularly considering we were in the midst of talking about paperless, all you need to do is go to the Mariner software site, and the code that you need is EY 2019. Now, Persona and Contour are to do with, well, Contour's very similar to Scrivener in a way. Persona's about creating personas and characters for your fiction, works of fiction, and links in with Contour. If you've already got Scrivener, you probably don't need it. But just in case you are interested in any of their software, it is on 50% off. Mac Gourmet, very dated. That's the problem. They seem to be living off their software from years ago. Narrator is pretty decent, but it's so dated. And I just wish they would update the software so it looks better and that it functions with the new operating system options that they've got. I would guess the most interesting one for people would be paperless. Having said that, I think if you've got DevonThink, you're not going to be interested in paperless. But in case anybody is, or they've been lusting after any of that, then it's on offer right now. Now, there's another one that's on offer, Creative Live. All their training courses are 70% off. That's creativelive.com, but only for the next few hours. Now, something else that we've mentioned, and yeah, it was kind of 50-50 as to what we actually thought of this. This is actually available, Office 365. That's the version where you can have 6 users. It's a 12-month subscription and it works on PC and Mac. And right now it's $49.99. Now, deliberately, that one is the code one. It's a download. And I remember when I mentioned it for the Black Friday sales, people were saying, why do you get the box and not just take the email code? And it's just, I like to have a physical something. I know it's ridiculous and it's old-fashioned, but I do. But if that was the only one on offer, I'd probably go for it. What I was specifically looking at this time is that little bit down there. Because I thought, if they're going to email you a code, which that says they are, I thought, could our American friends who are not getting any discount on this just buy from here? And you'll notice that note there, annoyingly. The annoying note. Where's my mouse pointer? Let's get the annoying note. That annoying note there that says it's only available to customers located in the UK, which I personally think is absolutely ludicrous. But no, you couldn't. And I don't know how they'd work that out. I mean, would they stop you buying it? Would they stop you activating it? It's just an activation code. Are they location specific? I have no idea. But if you are in the market for it and you are not on these shores, it doesn't look good for using that. However, if that offer is on today here and you are in the States, check out Amazon. They don't always make a show of it. I found when I was looking for it, because Graham said he was interested too, it wasn't listed in the sale items. I found it by looking at the sale items on my phone. But when I went to a computer, it wasn't there. Could not find it. So I had to add it to my wish list and then access the wish list on the desktop to get to it. So if you've got an iOS device or an Android device with the Amazon app on it, have a look in there as well. Don't just look at the desktop and think it's not available, because sometimes they're extra devious. Extra devious. Right, and freebies. We, of course, have our Creative Market freebies. Some interesting ones there in that we've got Lightroom presets, which we don't often get. We don't often get that. There's a couple of photos as well, and a couple of fonts, with a very nice big New Year set as well at the top. So I'm definitely going to be using some of those in demos. I like the birds on the left-hand side. I've done a bird graphic for our Walker's Warblings, and I thought I may have gone for that if I hadn't already got something else. So I shall definitely have a play around with that. So you can get those at creativemarket.com/free-goods. Now, another one that's only available for the next few hours is something from Envato Market, which is they are letting you have 3 WordPress themes. Now, you know we love Divi, but you can never have too many themes to play with. And these are very high quality themes, completely free today, 3 of them. They're in Notion, Mike, so you should be able to find the links to share with people. Oh, he's ahead of me. First of all, you have Caris, which is a personal blog and a magazine theme. We were always looking for magazine themes and they were very expensive, so to be able to get one of those free is very handy. Then there's Tempus, which is for photography. And then finally there is Ariana, which is for digital agencies. That's a 1-page one, so basically a showcase theme. But there you go, some nice freebies for you. Before we come on to, I should have some mean and moody music here. Scrivener and the Perils of Copying and Pasting. Thank you, Pete. That was a rabbit hole, wasn't it, Mike? We started off on this and it was like, how difficult can this be? So first of all, I'm going to show you what I think Pete's problem actually was. Pete's going to put in there whether I am spot on right or not. I'll explain as I go what the actual problem was. But actually, Pete, I don't think you're on your own with this. I think it's something that Mike would probably try. And a lot of other people, because what we're talking about is creating work in Scrivener and then getting it from there to where you need it to be. And to be honest, it turned into a living nightmare. So I definitely need spooky music at that point. But let's have a look. Right, I will go into Scrivener. It will open up my email file probably somewhere at some point in my lifetime. It has, off screen, but never mind. Right, so I'm closing it down, so I'm getting into Scrivener there. Now, very swift overview if you don't know what Scrivener is. Scrivener allows you to create written content, keep the idea of it. How difficult can this be? Let me tell you a story. Exactly. It's like, oh, that'll be easy. Yeah, 3 hours later. No. Scrivener was written by a man called Keith who wanted to write a book and ended up teaching himself to program so he could write the software that he could write his book in. So for him, I do believe it was fiction. But obviously you can see over here that you can either have a blank template, you can start with fiction and it be a certain type of fiction, but there's also non-fiction options available. And all these is a starting point. So it doesn't really matter which one we pick in this case. You can see in here case study templates, multiple blogs, course and course testing for compile were mine. I was testing things. So I'm going to start with the blank one, but you would encounter exactly the same issue no matter which ones you start with. Now, the thing you need to know, so I'm going to put that in there. You can see I've got a superscript subscript already, but I will put in super and sub because that was the issue. When Keith wrote this application, his rationale was to keep formatting out of it completely. Now, I don't think you can do that completely. Even at the point that you're writing it, you may need to indicate that something is different. So what I mean by that is, let's open up my email file, my very complicated email file. Right, that's the mail that was sent about half an hour ago. But that's not what it looked like when you got it. There will have been the text at the top, and that is formatted. Good evening, Stephen. Then there's the graphic, which is actually a graphic. But that bit that says join us right now, when you look at that in the email, it's actually a green button. So what I've done inside Scrivener is make it look as close to a green button as I can. That indicates to me that that is a green button. Now, Keith would have you believing, the programmer, you don't need any of that. You can do all of that at the point of compile. And he's correct. You know, just because that looks like that doesn't mean during compile I can't have it bright red or blue. It doesn't matter. But I think in here, when you're working, it is actually essential to have some indication of exactly what it is you're doing and how you formatted it or how you want that to look. So really, we need a kind of middle of the road thing. So when I was putting together the Advent things in here, like those, but they're links. So let's try something without a link. No, I want something with a list in, but not that list. Not find anything with a list in now, will I? Oh, there's a list, sort of. But I want more of a list, Let's keep going. There we go, there's a list. Right, so that's an email that went out on the 15th. And some of the text is blue. Now, this bit that's blue, Divi from Elegant Themes, is a link. And that's a link. But when you get down to here, in there, so the bit that I've selected that's blue to start with, there are links in it. The Divi theme is a link, that Divi theme's a link, and this bit that's highlighted is also a link. But the rest of them, the other 4 lines, obviously you've had that mail, was the text blue? No, it wasn't. So why is it blue in here? The reason it's blue in here is it's an unordered list. So I took the decision to make that text blue so I would know it's an unordered list. If the text's blue, it's an unordered list. So while it would be wonderful to have no formatting at all to cause any kind of problems, I don't think you can do that unless you're writing pure, plain fiction. And all you've got to worry about is chapter 1, text. Chapter 2, text. But for anything that's more complicated than that, no. And I think you're going to have to make Scrivener work for you. So as you can see, I do. So let's go back to this blank file and see what the problem was. Right, we're going to need some text. I'm assuming everybody has at least a vague idea of what Scrivener is about. It's written content that you write in chunks. So they're either called documents or scrivenings, items, whatever you want to call them. But basically, underneath your draft, on the left-hand side, you have chunks. So if this one happened to be chunk 1, and that one happened to be chunk 2, and that one was chunk 3. Exactly, Pete. Real life is not like that. Real life is not a work of fiction. Even when we've done demonstrations with a very short novel, a novella really, it was A Christmas Carol. And A Christmas Carol had illustrations in it. The original one had illustrations in it. So they've got to go in there and you've got to find a way to get those out as well. But this requirement of Pete's was fairly straightforward. I think my Wi-Fi is acting up now, but never mind, I'll plod on because the one that's broadcasting to you is not on Wi-Fi, so that's fine. It was a very simple thing. If I put some text in here, so the quick, a brown fox jumped over the lazy doggies, and the doggies are saying they're not lazy. Right, so let's get that in and have a couple more paragraphs of it. Right. I'm assuming, Pete needs to sort me out here, but you've got superscript and subscript. Is this superscript and subscript because the text needs to be? So maybe O2 and you want the 2? Or is it like an endnote or a footnote for a start? I'm going to work on the principle that we want the word, shall we have jumped and lazy? 1 superscript, 1 subscript. And it's really straightforward. That was easy. I don't use it that often. So the first thing I did was Command, Shift and / and type in superscript. And it was under baseline. So format, font, baseline, superscript. Superscript for references, subscript for O2, etc. as described. Right. Awesome. Well, it doesn't really matter. this is how you would do it. And obviously, you are aware of that. I actually find it far easier rather than all this baseline malarkey. This one's going to be subscript, isn't it? So that's what you end up with. Now, whether that's right or not, in terms of what it actually looks like, is a moot point. Because it hasn't made it any smaller. And usually, when you do something like that, you want it a little bit smaller. But we're not going to worry about that. We have it. In fact, while we're at it, I'll copy that so we've got more than one of it. So we'll get rid of the ones without it. And now we've got it in multiple paragraphs. Right, so what Pete wanted to do was take that text, something very simple. How far wrong could you go? Wanted to take that text out of there and put it into a program for layout. And that's exactly what Scrivener is intended for. That you do the work in here, the heavy lifting in here, but when it comes to the layout, take it somewhere else. So, Command and A, Command and C. Awesome. And in Pete's case, he was taking it to Affinity Publisher, although it wouldn't actually matter where it was going. But we'll take it to Affinity Publisher as well. And I'll just make that an A4 document. There's my page, and I just want to paste it in. So I need a text frame to paste it in. So let's put a text frame in there. Not quite lined up, but it will be. There we go. And click in there and paste. Now, that actually looks slightly different, although we've not done anything. The jumped and doggies has changed size. Curious. Obviously, when it copied and pasted, it did know not just that it was in a different location to the baseline, but it actually knows that it's superscript and subscript. That must mean something to it. And when Affinity Publisher gets its hands on it, it thinks, right, well, in here, superscript would be displayed like that and subscript would be displayed like that. And that is fine. Only what Pete did next was, obviously, that doesn't look like he wants it to look. He then wants to come into here and do what Affinity Publisher does best, which is format things. So, selected it, having ascertained it does know that jumped needs to be superscript and doggies needs to be subscript, because it formatted it that way. But he went into the text styles, which is here. Now you can make your own text styles, and there's a lot of text styles already in there. These are like your base styles. So let's say that this at the moment, it's got no style on it, and I want it to be the body style. Perfect. And that's the problem. The subscript and superscript completely vanishes. Now it's got no concept of it at all. So Pete's problem is he has to then go through that manually, looking for every instance of the word jumped and making it superscript, and to every instance of, I think, lazy, wasn't it, and making it subscript. Might as well not have bothered then, really, is the answer to that. So is there anything you can do about that? Right, let's go back and have a look at Scrivener. Right, this area, the white area, which is that bit there, the whole of that is a text control. So if there are any programmers amongst us, you'll be aware that you have controls from Apple that you can hook into to your applications. If any of you have ever done any development with VB or VBA, you'll be aware that Microsoft offer you components. Well, that is the text component, and it belongs to Apple. And if it worked, we'd all be happy. It's been broken for years. And I do mean like 13, 14 years. Every now and then it gets worse, and sometimes they actually fix stuff. Not often, but on occasions. And the problem with that control is it has no concept of styles. So it can copy what it sees, but what is pasted into the receiving application depends what that makes of it. Because the Apple control pretty much makes what we in the UK would call a pig's breakfast of it. In other words, one unholy mess. So you cannot rely on this at all for the look of it. Which is a bit of a problem, isn't it? It's a huge problem. So what needs to happen is you need to glue 3 things together to make them work. Now, Mike and I sat here, because I dragged Mike into it, said, look at the state of this. Pete said, and I didn't think it would be difficult. And 3 hours later, yeah, look at that. It shouldn't be difficult. You should be able to copy and paste that. It's this part that's not working properly. But the 3 bits you need to glue together. Don't copy and paste out of Scrivener. Rule 1. If you think about oh, come on. Oh, you really don't want me to authorise that right at this second, do you? Yes, you do. Fabulous. Give me 1 second while Apple annoys me just fractionally more. Because, like, I'm not ill enough and suffering enough already. Let's guilt trip Mike. Right, what was it I was trying to do? It was which, wasn't it? With a bit of luck, that's at the bottom. And it's already... I did not do a thing. It's already got a tick in the box. It's lying to me. Excellent. Right, I'm just trying to get back to the other file. And it's not having it. Okay, let's go back up here. That could be because it's not open. Never mind. Let's go and open it and have a look. Right, if that worked, and there are occasions it would, then I'd be able to copy and paste that out and call it an email. But I can't. Because you think about what I've actually got in there. I have this at the top, which is a heading, and that's a heading too. And this is a graphic that's actually embedded in it. And then I've got another heading. Then I've got standard text. I've got links in it. I've got bullet points in it. I've got highlights in it, because when that came out, it was highlighted yellow. More graphics, more links, you name it. If I were Command and A, Command and C. Mike, make a note of that aspirin thing, and I shall have some of that. When we've done. I've got high strength something or other from Health Essentials, cold and flu capsules. That's what I've been having so far, and I'm still going. Right, so I've copied that. Let's take it somewhere like Affinity, and let's see what it makes of it. So we'll get rid of that text in there, and we'll paste. It's not bad, but it's not right. None of the graphics have come in. The highlights come in, I'm impressed. There's no bullet points on this, it's just blue. There's no links come in on this. So copying and pasting out of Scrivener, I won't say it never works, but it hardly ever works. There are occasions, let me show you one occasion when it would. Way back when, so if we go back to... Shall we try... Oh, how about Advent Promotions in 2014? How about day 6 of? All right, look at the difference with that one. That's a heading. How do I know? Because it's got 3 hashes, which means it's Markdown. That's a paragraph. So now I've switched from Markdown to HTML. And that is a graphic. Then we've got some text. Then we've got another heading. Then we've got another graphic. What that actually is copy and pasteable, although it's horrible. It's got, I mean, look at it. It's got Markdown links in it. It's got HTML links in it. You're going to need, wherever that goes, it will go exactly as it is, but it won't look right. So let's go back into Affinity Publisher. Let's get rid of that one and paste that in. Does that look right? No, it pastes in exactly what, you know, it's got the HTML in it and it's got the Markdown in it, but it's not interpreting it in any way at all. But I could copy and paste that, and I could give it to Mike, because where it was going was Aweber, which is the company that looks after our mail, and it interprets Markdown and HTML. But that's how I used to have to write a mail. It's like speaking French and German at the same time as English, and trying not to make a mistake with it. But that's what we used to do. Obviously, we're doing something very different now. That was that one, wasn't it? Yeah, that's that one. So that one went out tonight, and that's much easier. There's no codes in there. So how is that happening? And what happened between 2014 and now is the compile setting was extended, and I then programmed it. So what Pete needs, and what everybody else needs, who needs to sort out this kind of mess, where you don't lose all the work you've done in Scrivener when you take it into Affinity Publisher, is you're only at that stage trying to glue 2 things together. You're trying to glue together what's in Scrivener with a repository of the final product in Affinity Publisher. And that's not going to work. What you need to do is use the compile option. Now, before you even get that far, I'll show you the compile option as is, but then we'll make a quick change and it'll be like magic. Right. It doesn't matter in here how many blocks you've got. You would just compile. It doesn't matter, I've only got one. But you would file, compile, and get taken into here. Now, we know that the compile dialog is a living nightmare. The first thing to do is start at the top of it and choose the destination. Now, you'll notice in there's lots of destinations, but none of them is Affinity Publisher. But you could do with exporting to something that would understand subscript and superscript. And there's a few options. Sorry, Pete. Compile your nemesis. Well, once it's set up, it's fine, honestly. But I do agree with you, it can take a while. I once spent 2 days writing a compile setting, but then I used it thousands of times and it was fine, it was worth it. What I'd say is document as you go, and at the end of it, have sort of the set of instructions so you could set it up again if you need to. But don't worry about it, because once you've set it up, you can export it and back it up that way. But basically, all you need is a format that supports everything that you need to send out. So I would say Word is a good one to choose. Rich text isn't bad, but Word, docx format, probably the best. Other than that, the good news for Pete is I'm not doing anything else. I'm making sure it's set to default in the formats on the left. So Word at the top, default on the left, leave it alone. Simple as that. Leave it alone. And then hit compile. So I'll put that out onto the desktop. You will find the desktop, won't you? No, you're telling me you're going into preview in iCloud. No, you're not. You're going to the desktop. There we go. And I'll export it. So it'll have a little think about it. You can see it's saying file converter at the top. That's the internal system that's converting it. And there it is. So first thing I'm going to do is open it up in Word and actually have a look at it. Because if the superscript and subscript didn't come through, then it won't work. But there you go, it did. Right, so far, so good. Right, let's then go back to Affinity Publisher. We will delete all of that. And this time, I'm going to File, Place, and then choose the Word file, which is on my desktop, super and sub, and open it. And now in here, we still have the superscript and the subscript. But needed to have some kind of style in here, didn't it? And we said body style. And it disappears again. Not good. But we are on the right track. We've got the right workflow. We're one piece missing. Just the one. But we're one piece missing. So let's delete that. We'll be back to you shortly. Right, let's go back into... Do we have Word open at the moment? Or did I close it? Take a swift look round. It looked like I closed it. Right, let's get back into Scrivener. Right, Pete, question. OpenOffice would work better as I use... That's absolutely fine. OpenOffice would probably do it as well. The bit that's missing is not missing in Word or rich text or OpenOffice either. The bit that's missing is in here. So Mike and I had to play around with this. This is what we like to do, isn't it? To entertain ourselves. No wonder we're ill. It was a nightmare. It just didn't work. But we both looked at each other and said, yes, but let's try this, and I think it might. Right, you may not know, but version 3 of Scrivener supports styles. Now, it was very begrudging on the part of the developer. He was not over keen on adding styles because his belief is what something looks like in Scrivener need not be what it looks like when it's compiled. In fact, it's better if it doesn't. It's better if the format goes on at the point of compile, which is all very well, except for situations like this. That would be fine if it worked, but it doesn't. Now, when we went into Affinity Publisher, we actually found that as well as the body style I'd been using, there was a normal style appeared. And that wasn't there before. If I undo all that I did, rather than just delete it, I undo it, numbered normal disappeared. That should give you a clue. Right, so in here, oh yes, beer Pete. At the minute I'm sipping iced water, you can probably tell. I will be having hot honey and lemon later. Don't ask about the honey. It was supposed to be clear honey. It's kind of set like cement, but it tastes... It looks all right, considering... It tastes all right, considering how it looks. Let's put it like that. Right. In here, you can have styles. Up here, it says no style. In the manual, if you look at the Scrivener manual, it will tell you to walk away and leave this alone. But in this circumstance, don't walk away and don't leave it alone, is the upshot. But what I'll say is the styles they can be very powerful, but they're very quirky. And they are quirky because they have to be quirky to work with this monstrosity. So the developer has had to piggyback a styles system on the top of this control from Apple, which is shonky at best. So bear that in mind. But what I will do we have a Firefox thing here? We do. Excellent. Right. Scrivener styles. I'm reading that comment. Within Scrivener, round tripping. It might do. You never know. You never know. Right, let me see if I can... Oh, I can. Do love it when something like that works. Awesome. Right, so styles are available inside Scrivener. Whether you would use them or not depends on what it is you're actually doing. And in Pete's case, needing this, he shouldn't actually need styles for this, but it's the only way that I've found. You will notice here that on Udemy there is a course dedicated to all things Scrivener styles. There you go. I wonder who could possibly have made that. Oh, that would be me. And look, it's 4.4 ratings. Excellent. Right, I think it's an hour and a half. An hour and a half, all on Scrivener styles. Don't pay that price. Also, don't pay that. I've got a coupon. Right, but point being, I'll show you how to make a style, but there's a lot to it because it is a horrible hacky workaround. But this is what I did. I selected the whole lot, and where it says no styles, I thought, right, well, there are styles available in here, but clearly then they're not a style that I would want. So when you're taking it into Affinity Publisher, you will have a style in there, won't you, Pete? And in the style, it'll be called something. Well, whatever that's called, it would be a good idea to set it up in here. Called exactly the same. Right, to do that, show the styles panel. And there are two types of styles. There are paragraph styles and there are character styles. If you've used any word processor, they should be instantly familiar with you. Right, first of all, I'm going to make a paragraph style. So I'm going to plus at the bottom, give it a name. We imaginatively called it Pete, because by then we were thinking of an effigy in pins, Pete, but we were determined to make it work. Right, now you can save all the formatting or character or paragraph. So I think for this one, I think, body. You wanted it to be body. Oh, we could rename it body, I suppose. We could do. I'm going to leave it at Pete for now. I'm going to save all the formatting for that. And then you can choose what style is applied next. Now, it makes sense at this stage to say this style. So every time you move on to a new paragraph, it too is formatted in this style. And then we said, OK. But what we also did, because at that stage, it all went wrong. All we did was make a style. And what happened? The jumped and the doggies retained the size, but not the position. And we looked at each other, and that was, again, one of the quirks of this Apple control. It doesn't work properly. It just doesn't work properly. So what you would need to do at that point, now what we actually did was we also changed the colour of it. And we do that quite a lot. If I change the colour of that to something, I think we had it a blue colour. Bluey purple, that'll do. And then we went over to the style and said we were going to redefine it. And we said, OK. And it said it was going to update it. And we said, that's absolutely fine. Now, worse happened at that point. Crying out loud. Now the jumped and lazy, the size isn't there either. This is just what it's like. It doesn't work. So it's not you, Pete. It's broken. But we have a hacky workaround. What you need to do, this might not work well for Pete, so duck, Mike, in case he throws something. But you've probably done a lot of the work already. If you'd known what you were doing, you wouldn't have done that. You would have done this first. What we then did was we went in and went to Jumped. And we went back to Format, Font, Baseline, Superscript. And we did the lazy. And we went to that Format, Font, Baseline, Subscript. Now, that has marked it up as subscript and superscript, etc. But what we then did was we went and made another style. This time we called it the style, and I think that was superscript, wasn't it? If that was the top one, it was superscript. I made it character styles only, and I think I even took that away. But you could include the size if you want, but I didn't. I think I did that with it. Only 144,000 words. Let's just say that's sort of the first week back taken care of then, Pete. Right, so that has a style of Pete superscript on it. And then this bit here, we add another character style. Pete subscript. Right. But at least when it's done, Pete, it's done. Right, so that's styled as well. Actually in here, it doesn't matter what it looks like. She's just as well, isn't it? Then you can go through and you can superscript and you can subscript, and you're not actually applying, you're not going through the format baseline and all that malarkey. You're doing it in here. So that was a superscript and that was a subscript, and that's basically what you do. So obviously the time to do this was about 6 months ago, I would have thought. But never mind, we're doing it now. This was what we found, and it worked anyway. Because nothing else works, it's broken. It's as simple as that. Right, so we've now got some text in there, and now it's sorted with styles. So the majority of the text has the Pete style, which Pete would like to be called body. That's fine. But the superscript and subscript has its own style, which is Pete plus the superscript version of that and the subscript version of that. Right. Stupid question. What's the difference between a paragraph and a character style? A paragraph style will apply to the entire paragraph, irrespective of where you are when you apply it. So let's say I don't want that to be Pete. Let's say I want that to be centered text. It does it to the entire paragraph. Did you notice it also made that smaller and bigger? Oh, I love this. It just doesn't work, does it? But the character one, I select either one word or 2 words, or however many words, and then go and find the style, and it only applies to what's selected, not the entire paragraph. So that is the difference between the two. I can come up to the top one and change that to be Pete, and it will apply to the whole paragraph. These ones here are still Pete and Pete superscript, but you'll notice now they're black. So it's random. But the good news is you don't have to worry about that if you use this method. Okay, so we've got content. We have superscript, we have subscript, we have a style, and we have substyles, character styles. Now we need to go back to the compile. You'll notice at this point I'm not making any changes to it at all. It remembers it was for Word, and it remembers it was the default. What you could do at that point to make sure is export that format and call that Pete's Export. Put it on your desktop. That way you don't lose it. I have done that Can I go over that? Oh, don't you start again, for crying out loud. I daren't say deny. It'll never work again. Can we go to the other one? Yes, in there. If I go to export that, to do a compile on that, it remembers it was plain text, and I can send a VIP mail or a MacBites mail. So I just choose that. If I want to make sure, because there's all kinds of stuff going on in here, I'm doing a lot more compile magic with this than I am with anything else. If we go into here, hang on, where's it gone? Oh, it disappeared somewhere. But basically, there's a lot going on inside it, in my assignments and all the settings behind it. But what you can do is export that format, which, believe you me, I have done. They are backed up to the cloud, and that way you don't lose anything. Right, so back where we were. We've backed it up and we're ready to go. So we're going to compile that. We'll stick it on the desktop and overwrite the other one. Now let's replace it. So this is part 2. It's gone from Scrivener and it's gone via Word. It doesn't matter where it goes via, as long as where it goes via supports styles. And then, that's our Word file. We'll go into Affinity Publisher. You'll see we have no style called Pete. Not there. But we're going to place the file, which is on the desktop, which is super and sub. And there it is. Now, it's brought in everything. It's brought in the font face, it's brought in the colour, and it's brought in the superscript and subscript. In fact, it knows, when we look at it here, where it's actually got the name of it, but if you look at Pete's subscript and superscript, it's even brought in what it looks like. So it's indicating to you that it's smaller. But if you remember, it didn't look smaller in Scrivener. It was doing its own thing. But sending it out to Word, Word's interpreted it, and you've brought it into Publisher, and now it looks right. Apart from the fact it probably shouldn't be purple. But I have a fix for that as well. Right, it's a little bit crowded on here. I don't really want you up there. It's a little bit crowded because my screen's smaller than it would usually be. But what you can do in here, you probably don't want it like that. You probably want to make changes to it. But as you're working through it, you don't want it that colour. Maybe you want it lurid pink. I mean, these medical references, they could do with a bit of colour, couldn't they? Oh, let's jazz them up a bit. Right, what you've done at that point is you've put a change on top of the style. If we went back and applied the style, it would then make it the colour that it was. But you can right-click here and you can update the style. And now you've changed the colour of it. So if you think about what Pete was trying to do, he'd got content in Scrivener that needs to come out of Scrivener into Affinity Publisher. But if we go via Word, that is what puts the style in Affinity Publisher. And now in Affinity Publisher, you can make any kind of changes that you want to here. So you could edit the Pete style from in there. You could change the font of it. So, well, should we have it something hideous? Ooh, Trajan Pro, right? And OK, that didn't work too well, did it? Why is that not working? Have you not updated? Ah, we might need to go in there and update. Oh, there we go. That sorted it all out. Point being, it's still retained the superscript and the subscript. You'll notice it's the wrong colour, but the colour of the superscript and subscript is defined in these two styles below. So if you wanted that to be the same colour as the other one, let's just make it a pink. Update the style down there. So update the Pete. And every instance of the word lazy is now the pink colour. So what you've done is you've taken it from Scrivener. Don't worry about what it looks like in Scrivener. Worry about what style you have applied to it in Scrivener. So in Pete's case, he should have a style called body. And then a superscript style and a subscript style. One will be a paragraph style, as you can see here. That has the paragraph symbol, but as we work down to the superscript and subscript, they are character styles. And with those three styles in place, you have complete control over what that looks like in there. Unfortunately for Pete, he already has 1,400 what is it, 144,000 words to deal with. I'm guessing it's going to depend on how much superscript and subscript text you've got. Give me an idea, how much have you got? And is it predictable? If it's something like O2, you could do magic with search and replace. Given the fact it doesn't matter what it looks like in Scrivener, you could take it out of Scrivener and run it through a grep engine and take it back in and do it that way. But what you're looking at there is exactly what I have done. Not in terms of, I don't want a textbook at the end of it, but if we go back into Scrivener and we look at, oh, please go away. That's going to, right, we'll just do it manually then. Right, in here, that's a style. That button is a style. This is another style. These are other styles. When you look at them, that's a heading 1, that's a heading 2. This one down here is button green. And in some of them, which were the Advent days for 2019, where's the highlighted one? Come on, where's the highlighted one? There was a highlighted one. You saw it. Oh, I'll do something sacrilegious is what I'll do, and I'll highlight something else. Right, let's say I want that highlighted. Obviously, I have a highlight option just available there, and I can toggle the highlight on and off. The problem with doing something like that is Word isn't going to understand it, so it isn't going to be interpreted on the way out as a style, nor is it going to be highlighted. But if I come into here and I choose highlight yellow, pink, orange, green or blue, it will be. So I apply it with a style. And then in the magic of compile, it's turned into what it actually needs to look like. So that's why you never copy and paste out of Scrivener. It doesn't end well. It's not 100% Scrivener's fault. It wouldn't matter if it was Scrivener or TextEdit or any other Mac application that is hooking into this text control. Because this text control does not support styles, it's not very intelligent, and it hasn't been updated in years. And that's what's causing a problem. When Mike and I had to play around with this, we got it doing all sorts. I've cut out the bit that didn't work, but we went in here and we made that, where it's superscript, we changed the size of it so it matched that. We got it all right. And then when we did it again and again, it went progressively smaller till in the end we couldn't see it. It was at 2 points. And I just looked at Mike and I said, can we just declare that this is broken? And he said, yeah. So the key in Scrivener is to make 3 styles. One for all of the text, and then 2 more, one for the superscript, one for the subscript. And it doesn't matter if we go in here and we go to the styles panel, if you want it called body, redefine from selection, go in there, change it from Pete to body. And then when it exports, that's absolutely fine where you go. You see what's happening with it? There you go, it goes even smaller. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter what it looks like in here at all. You might want to make that a bit bigger so you can actually read it. But apart from that, you'd be good to go when you export it. But you need to go from Scrivener through Word or OpenOffice or RTF, whatever, and then take it into Affinity Publisher. And you're sorted. See? Simple. Wasn't it? Wasn't it, Pete? Right. References. Some can be searched and replaced. Yep. References are meant to be superscript. Can't just replace them. No, you can't. The good news is, instead of formatting them manually in Scrivener, don't. Apply a style in Scrivener. That way, when you update the style, technically speaking, everything you have it applied to can be updated. So styles are your friend. Big style. The other thing is, what it actually looks like in Scrivener is far less significant when it comes to getting it into Affinity Publisher if you use the styles. So really, by having the same styles in Scrivener as Affinity Publisher and using the Word format or an OpenOffice format as a conduit, you can control what it looks like at either end. Just make sure the styles are called the same. That's the key to it. Right. Formatted snapshots. Snapshots are fabulous. I remember doing that in that hotel in York. when I was trying to upload on that internet connection that we got from about the 16th century by the speed of it. I remember that well. Yeah, it's brilliant for saving versions. I used to do that with the emails, but I then changed how I actually did it. But there you go. The perils of copying and pasting. Don't do it. Don't do it. Is the short version of that, and don't do that either. Let's get back in there. While we're talking about text, I've got a couple of tips anybody could use. Dictionary tips. Who knows there's a dictionary in macOS? Is Mike nodding, or is he? Oh, he does. He does.
Never used it.
Never used it. Oh my! The dictionary can be fabulous. There are 2 tips in particular that I'm going to show you. One is the popover tip. I use that all the time. It broke at one point because something else broke it. But it's back. So that's one tip. And the other tip I'm going to show you is local dictionary, because you need to know about that. So if you write anything, you're going to love these tips. Right, let's go.
You're the queen of workarounds.
I'm the queen of workarounds. Yeah. Well, I don't like to let anything beat me. But honestly, that one was ridiculous. You saw just there at the end how everything shrank. If you can imagine Mike and I doing it like 5 times, we're like, I'm going to need a magnifying glass. And I'm like, poor Pete, this isn't going to end well. But we forced it in there. You can make it work. Right, so I've got this. It could be anything. Now, I'm not going to... I did this once, and it didn't end well. I went to the BBC News site live during a demo. Do you remember that, Mike?
Yeah.
And I totally lost the audience. Graham will remember. He was there. Michael Jackson had died, so I'm not going to the BBC website and lose an audience. But I've got a site here, and it doesn't matter what this is. It could be anything. It could be text in Notion, it could be a web page, it could be a Word file, it could be Scrivener. It doesn't matter where it is. If you just hover over, so this is the active window, this Firefox window, but if you just hover over anything, so let's say productive. If you just hold down Command Control and D. And what the dictionary will do is highlight the word underneath your mouse and bring up the dictionary, from whence you can see a definition of it, how to pronounce it, and the thesaurus. You can also go across, you can see Siri knowledge on it, you can see things in the App Store on it, you can see films and maps. Scary. I generally only tend to use the dictionary, I'll be honest. If you could get a custom medical dictionary. Oh, Pete, custom dictionaries, did you mention? Hold that thought. Right, that's just a very quick tip. It doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to have it selected. So what else have we got here? Basic understanding. What might we want to look up? Experience. Let's look up experience. And I do use that a lot. A lot. It's Command, Control and D. Just hover over the word. And from in here, you can then open that up in the dictionary. It will open up the dictionary window, and from there, you can actually look at Wikipedia, Apple, other things. It seems like nothing, but once you get used to it and you're thinking, what's that word? Or I need a different word. Usually with me, I'm looking at the thesaurus and I'm thinking that word's not quite right. I know what I mean, but I can't remember what the word is. And it does. That works absolutely brilliantly. Now, other thing. When you're typing, so let's get that out of the way. What have we got? We got text edit. Oh, the venerable text edit, which uses the same control as Scrivener. So it doesn't work brilliantly. Thank you, Apple. Right, let's say in here, we put words. So we use Aweber. So we put in Aweber. Doesn't mark that as a misspelling. But if I were to put in Bweber, it wouldn't like it. So how come it likes Aweber? Interesting. There's other words in here. Mine is set to a British dictionary. So Deborah's saying she has primary dictionaries, German, English, learning German. Popover gives translation. That's genius. That's a brilliant use for it. My issue's always, when I get on a new Mac, I'm like, it thinks that's a misspelling. That's not a misspelling. This one will be fine with MacBites, but a lot of the time that can be underlined. And because it's British English, stuff like visualize I would spell it like that. I've obviously put that one in. But a lot of British people spell that with an S, in which case that would be marked as a misspelling. Now, you can, of course, so let's take this Bweber as an example. It offers me a lot of other things, believe you me. Bieber is not something I'm looking for. But in here, you can right-click on it, and there is an option to learn the spelling. Or you can ignore the spelling. Now, ignoring the spelling is not exactly accurate. It's rather bizarre. It will ignore it for now, but only in here, and if I had it written somewhere else, it would come up and it would flag that up as a misspelling. It's very annoying. Learn spelling is very handy. Yes, centre and centre. So learn spelling is very useful, but every now and then you'll be going through a document and it'll flag up a misspelling and you'll say, learn the spelling, and then think, that's a mistake. And then what's worse than it flagging up something as a misspelling is ignoring something that is a misspelling. So we'll say learn the spelling. Now, problem. It's never going to mark that as a misspelling. Wouldn't it be grand if you could plug in a dictionary? Maybe like a medical one. It would also be grand if you could see the words that you'd added to the custom dictionary and be able to edit them, because that one shouldn't be, it was Aweber and I put B. Yes. Luckily, you can do that. Let's have a look. So you go to your Finder, and in your Finder, you need to go to your library. Well, your library, if you go to Go, used to be listed in there, and now it's not. And they've taken that away to stop you tinkering, but that's not good. I don't like them doing that. I like to tinker. So if you hold down the Option key, library comes back. There. No Option key, Option key. No Option key, Option key. So with the Option key held down, click Library. Now do be careful in here, obviously. Only go where I'm telling you. Otherwise things break. But in here, in the root of your library, if you scroll down, there is a folder called Spelling. Let's open up Spelling. And in here, it has all kinds of files, dynamic texts and all kinds of stuff. There is that one, ENGB, which is probably English. We'll open it up and have a look at it. Oh, look, there's words, things that I've put in there. I've no idea why they're in there as the GB one when there's another one, but never mind that. The one I'm interested in is this local dictionary, the local one. I open up that local dictionary. Oh, look. There is Aweber. With a bit of luck, there is Bweber. It didn't understand Camtasia, Carnforth, Carvery, Katina, all sorts. Here's all my customizations. Customizable, all of these. Davy Hume is a local place. Didn't understand Devon Technologies. There's all sorts in there. Some things are obvious, like Fezziwig. I use Christmas Carol a lot. So there's all the words that I have had to add to it. That is my custom dictionary. Now, the ability to know where that is fabulous. Because if I set up a new Mac, I go on my laptop, my newish laptop. Well, it was new, it's a year old now. What I can do is go in here and copy this file and just put it in the same location, the spelling folder, in there, on my new machine, and instantly my spellings are added. So, Pete, if you have the spellings, if you have the medical dictionary in text format like that, just one word per line, you can do it. Just copy and paste it in. There's your medical dictionary. I do think in here, let's have a look at the file type of that. Is there an extension? No, it's just called local dictionary. So I would guess, shall we try it? Oh, you are terrible, you lot. You tempt me to do things that could totally break everything, but never mind, we'll do it anyway. Let's put in there Cweber. Another one. You're doing it as we speak. Oh, I've excited Pete. It's always a good week when I can excite Pete. Right, I'm going to put that in that file there, but I'm going to save that file. So we'll do a save. We'll put it in spelling, but we'll put it in as medical dictionary. Medical dictionary. Let's see if that works. Okay. Right, so it's in there as a medical dictionary. It says it's a text file. I will go back to text edit. Oh, dying on my feet here. And put in C. Weber. Oh, it's marking it as a misspelling. That's not good. I might have to restart text edit. It could be that. Let me copy that. Close that lot down. It might need to be in one of the other files, but we'll find out, won't we? We'll close text edit. It could load it in at the beginning. I don't know, because I've not created a separate one. I've always added it to that one. Well, let's go into text edit. We'll have a new file. We'll paste that in. What did it make of it? No, it doesn't like that in there. I'm assuming that that medical dictionary, it could maybe not be the right format. Let's have a look. Nope, I'm not quite sure. And I would have to have a look at that. But obviously local dictionary is a reserved word, but it's loading that in absolutely fine. So if I right click and say learn spelling, it will put C. Weber in the local dictionary. So let's open that up with text edit. And now under C, we should have C. Weber. They put it in there. I am not seeing it. I can see B. Weber. That's interesting. Has they stuck it at the bottom? Oh, it's stuck it at the bottom for reasons best known to itself. Because the rest of it's alphabetical. Fabulous. But never mind, it's there. You can also in here, so I'm going to close it from that. I'm going to open up this local dictionary with text edit, my Sublime editor. Open with Sublime Text. Right, there it is. Let's get rid of that one. Now, I added B. Weber, didn't I? Which was in here somewhere. To take it out, if you've made a mistake, you literally just delete it. Now, that doesn't say C. Weber at the bottom. Let's make sure it's not somewhere under C, which it now is. Okay, let's get rid of that and save the file. And come out of it. It could be that let me get rid of that. I may have made that a text, an RTF file, and it could need to be in there. So let's put in a C. Weber. Shall we put something like medical X? Because that's not a word. Right, let's save that into spelling as medical dictionary. Okay. Close that down. Let's close everything down, just in case. And try it again, because I did notice at one point there, it moved it. Ah, it's worked for Pete. Right, I've obviously got far too much open and I've upset the machine entirely. But that's not unusual. My machine spends a lot of its time very upset with me. Right, let's do a new, and let's try medical X. Oh, it took the X off. Don't do that. Not having it for me. I might need to restart something. I am not sure what I've got running that's kidding it. But we have it on good authority. It's working for Pete, which is all that matters. Because Pete was the one who wanted a medical dictionary. So have I made your night, Pete? Just 2 tips there that are absolutely fantastic. You can download other dictionaries. That's where you would need to put them. You just need to get the format bang on. I actually find that more important in terms of opening that up and thinking I've put something in that shouldn't be in there. I've got all kinds of stuff in there. But I'm glad they don't come up as misspellings anymore. You'll notice I've got Velop in there and Vectormator, Skitch, Skylum, which is software, Snapseed, which is software. So a lot of my stuff, my company name, that's in there. Rumbelows as in cup, but that was driving me mad. Rumpole of the Bailey. I've got all sorts in here, but it works. It works fantastically. So one thing to do with it, make sure you back it up. 2, put it in a cloud somewhere, and then you can transfer it from machine to machine. One thing that would be interesting, let's blow Pete's mind. You could possibly, I've not tried it, but you never know. You could possibly make a symlink to a cloud location and only have one. There you go. I'll leave you with that thought, with that one. Right, I'm looking at this. Your second born, yes.
Only if it has 4 legs.
Does it have 4 legs, Pete? We do like offspring to have 4 legs. We're not competent if they've got 2. We're very good if they've got 4, though. We are, really. Right, I'm going to hand over. Sometimes a file needs the name to be recognised. Medical dictionary. I've never actually done it with a medical dictionary, so it could be. We shall investigate that more. Now, Pete's got more of a requirement. Have you noticed this? Poor Pete. Camel text. Does it need to be camel text? It could be. It could be. I'm going to have a play around with that and we'll find out. We'll get a definitive. I know you can download extra dictionaries, so it could well be. He's pretty feral, if that helps. Yeah, we're good with feral. We can handle feral. Right, I'm going to hand over to Mike, which necessitates jiggery pokery. So bear with me while I jiggery and pokery around and get you onto Mike. So let's get your screen shared first. Oh, hopefully they can see that. Next thing we need is them to hear you and not me. Right.
Shall I do a test?
Oh, is it how now, brown?
No, it's Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow.
That's looking pretty decent to me.
Good. In that case, shall I start?
Why not? Now I can have a drink and a rest.
They'll all tell me if they can't hear me anyway. Right, okay. The other day I did lists in Excel. So I thought I would continue lists in Excel and do a little bit more on that. Looking at sorting, looking at tables, and looking at 2 relatively new functions which you can use with tabular-based data. Okay, so I'm going to start with this file here called sort. And I'm going to actually go into this sort 2 sheet. Doing a single column sort of a multi-column table is fairly straightforward. So for example, say I wanted to put this list into alphabetical order on country name. Some people, I've seen them selecting all the data like that and then going up to the sort button on the ribbon and setting up a custom sort and saying that they want to sort by country name. That is one way to do it. And that has now sorted the list on country name. So if I just undo that. But a quicker way to do it is just to pick a single cell in the column that you want to sort by. So I'll do that. I'll just randomly pick a cell in column A and then go up to sort and filter and sort A to Z. Now, not only will that sort the data in column A, but it will also ensure that the data in columns B through to F on that row remains intact. So it basically treats the whole row as a record. What you must make sure you don't do, and again, I've seen people do this a lot, is select that data and then say that you want to sort. Now, as it happens in some of the later versions of Excel, it will warn you and it'll say, I've found data next to the selection. You've not selected it, it won't be sorted. What do you want to do? Do you want to continue with the current selection, which you don't want to do, because that will only sort that data, and then everything in column A will be sorted, everything in B to F will remain fixed. What you actually want to do is expand the selection. So it then automatically assumes that's what is to be sorted. But some of the older versions of Excel don't do that. So to be on the safe side, just pick a single cell. What if you wanted to sort multiple columns though? So for example, I want to sort based on the total, and where we have the same total, I think we have, yes, we have several 19s, we have a couple of 42s. I then want to sort on a second level based on gold. And if we still have a tie, if you like, having sorted on total and gold, I'm going to sort on abbreviation. To do that, I can be anywhere at all in the table. I don't have to be in a particular column. So I'll just pick the table, go up to sort and filter, and do a custom sort. So here I want to sort by total. and I want to sort, I'll do largest to smallest. Then I want to add a level, and at second level, I want to sort by gold, and I'll do largest to smallest, and add a third level and sort by abbreviation, and I'll do that A to Z. You can do as many levels as you like. There was one version of Excel, I think it was about 2007, if not before, where you were limited to 3 levels, but you can do as many levels here as you like. The other thing is, because my data has headers is ticked, it's automatically assumed that the first row of the table is headings, and therefore it's listed those headings as column names here. If I took that tick out of the box, then it treats what's on row 3 as a row of data, and then you would say I want to sort by column F, then column C, then column B. But it automatically detected that my data has headers, probably because it sees numbers, and on the first row it sees text, so it's assuming that the first row is headers, but doesn't always get it right. So just be aware of that tick box. So I'll click on OK, and it's now done what I asked, I hope. It's sorted primarily on total, but where we have the same total, it's then done a second level sort on gold. And if we'd had the same number, say we'd had a couple of 12s within the 19, then it would have sorted on abbreviation, K before N. So that's how to do a multi-column sort on a multi-column list. Okay, the next one I'll look at, I'm just flicking to see if there's any questions. There weren't, so I'll go back. The next one to look at is sorting by month. So here I've got a list of bills that I have to pay and when those bills are due. And if I did a sort by month, it would sort alphabetically. And that's not what I want. I want it chronologically. To do that, pick a cell in this case column B, go up to sort and filter, set up a custom sort, and sort by the month column and sort by custom list. That then takes me to the custom lists area of Excel, which you can get to in another part of Excel. You can get to it through the options, but you've probably seen this list setting or list settings before. If I just cancel out of this, many of you will probably know, and if you don't know, I'll show you now, that you can type in a day of the week, point your mouse at the bottom corner of the cell and drag the mouse across or drag the mouse down. And it automatically fills in the day of the week sequentially. You can do it with the full day of the week. You can do it with the month name and the abbreviated month name. And the reason those work is because they're stored in Excel as lists. So you type one item from that list. It doesn't have to be Monday. It doesn't have to be January. You grab hold of the bottom corner, you drag the mouse down or across, and it automatically populates. But the month names and the day names are built into Excel, but you can build your own lists. And if you want to build your own lists for automatically entering your own items in that way, you can do. You can also sort on those custom lists. Now, as it happens, I want to sort on one of the built-in custom lists, not one I've defined myself. So let's go back and redo that. Sort and filter, custom sort, sort by month, order is custom list, and use January to December. Click on OK, OK again, and it's now sorted based on the month name, but it's done it chronologically. So it's a very useful one. It's probably not one that people use massively, but it's there if you need it, and it's one of those things that's hidden away. The next thing I'll show you is something that I think is even more hidden away. And that is sorting by row. And again, this is one of those things where you probably wouldn't use it a lot, but when you need it, if you know what I mean. So I have a chart here which is showing the revenue per state, and it's displaying it alphabetical by state, as you can see, because the chart is based on the layout of the data. Now let's say I want to sort it by employees, number of employees per state, rather than revenue per state. And I can do that by sorting the data into employees order. Now, to do this, you would be sorting by row, as it were, rather than sorting by column. And to do that, you need to make sure that you don't include the headings, and you also need to make sure that you do include all the data. So unlike when you sort by columns that you can just pick on a single cell, if you're sorting by row, you need to select all the data. Now, you might say, well, why have I included row 4? Because I actually want to sort by row 3. I want to sort by employees. Well, if I did that, it would sort those numbers into order, but leave the data on row 2 and row 4 as it is. So you need to make sure that you do select all the data. Then go up to Sort and Filter, Custom Sort. Click on Options and make sure you set it to sort left to right. The default is top to bottom, and that's where you're sorting by column. So it's sort left to right, and then you choose which row number you want to sort by. So in this case, it's row 3, and I want to do it largest to smallest. Click on OK. It's sorted the whole list, made sure that the state remains with the employees and the revenue, and that updates the chart automatically. Okay, so those are a few things on sorting. Do we have any questions before I move on? No, I don't see any. You're just talking about illnesses by the look of it.
Good that we knew what they were.
Okay, I'll leave that to Pete. Unless you're Googling it, of course.
There's a story there, but I'm leaving it until you finish.
Okay, so let's go on to the next demo. And the next demo is looking at tables. Now, I think I've talked about tables before, but not in any great detail. I've mentioned that very often with Excel, you store your data in what looks like a row and column based list. And to you and to I, it's a table. But to Excel, unless you have the Tables tab on the ribbon, when you're clicked into that data, it's not treated as an Excel table. So to convert this, which looks like a table but isn't a table, into an Excel table, you click into it and you can either go to Insert Table or you can press Control and T. If you're using Excel for Mac, it's Command and T. Excel for Windows, it's Control and T. It should automatically pick up your data, and usually it's intelligent enough to work out whether your table has headers. So it either puts the tick in the box or doesn't put the tick in the box, but you can change any of these settings if necessary and click OK. That creates a table. You click into the table and there is the Table tab. Now, this is the very, very latest version of Excel. I probably mentioned this a number of times. It's Office 365, but it's the Fast Insider, which means I get the monthly updates a month before everyone else. And several months ago, one of the updates Microsoft did, probably because they couldn't think of anything major to do, was they tinkered with the ribbon. So instead of having table and then design underneath it, they just moved it to be one ribbon command. They're probably saying it's more aesthetically pleasing and it fits on a tablet and things like that. But I'm mentioning that because different people will have slightly different versions of Excel and the ribbons will look slightly different. But as you can see, we've got the table tab there. Click away and it's gone. So this is now an Excel table. It automatically styles it. If you don't like that styling, then you can choose a different one, or you can clear the styling completely. And if you want to turn off the sort and filter buttons that are automatically added to each heading, you can go up to the table tab and take off the filter button. And when you create a table, it automatically assigns it a name. And it's called it table 7 because presumably there are already 6 tables in this file. So I'm going to rename it totally. I'm going to click in the table name box and I'm going to call it demo table. You can call it anything you like as long as you don't use a space. It will accept anything for the name. So there we have a table. Now, once you've created a table, is that the end of it? You know, why would you create a table? Well, there's several reasons. To give you an example, if I wanted to create a chart, this data here is not in a table. You can see that because there's no table tab up here. So if I inserted a chart, then there is my chart. And if I went and added more data, ooh, has it crashed on me? That is not good. My mouse is not moving.
That's a coincidence.
Why is it crashed? Something crashed on you?
You have no idea. Is it your mouse that's a problem?
No, it's my whole machine.
That's curious.
Is it?
Keep talking.
Keep talking.
Yes.
What have you done?
I haven't done a thing.
You haven't done a thing.
I
Okay.
haven't. No, I think you upset it at that end.
Me? I haven't done anything. Shall I just keep talking?
Can you demonstrate that without actually moving?
I can talk about it.
Talk about it.
Until when?
Hell freezes over.
Okay. Should we come back to this next week? It was obviously that reboot that did it before we started. Okay, let's get serious again. Yeah, if I went and added more data on row 9, it would not automatically update the chart. Now it says connection lost.
Just turn the keyboard off and on again. Could be a Bluetooth thing.
Well, let's carry on talking. Yeah, if I added, say, June's data on row 9, it would not automatically update the chart. So I would then have to go and edit the chart settings to get June's data into that chart. But if that data that's currently highlighted was a table, and then I built a chart, if the chart was then based on the table, as I add more data, whether it be in rows or in columns, then the chart automatically gets updated. Another advantage of using tables, and I could really do with demoing this, is formulas. So if you could imagine, I have...
Is your Alt and Tab working?
No, nothing's working.
Ah, right. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. The whole keyboard has locked up.
Tell me about it. Right, I'm heading your way.
Right.
I've no idea what's wrong with your machine. And I'm assuming people can still hear us because we'd heard if they hadn't.
Yeah.
But you can't see that either now, can
No.
you? Ah, you see. Right, I'm leaning over Mike's desk here. Mine locked up hours ago. Mine locked up badly at the point I handed over to you. And you started.
Mm.
You know that thing I've been seeing all night? System allowed in eye thing?
Yeah.
It's there, and my mouse is moving around, but it won't let me click anything.
Oh.
So I'm amazed that we're still broadcasting, because
Oh.
my machine locked up about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Looks like Mike's has, but you can still hear us. Let us know that you can hear us. I have grabbed a pen and a piece of paper and I was about to make a list of what we're going to cover next week. On account of the good job, we've got the Slack room, isn't it?
Yeah.
Keep us entertained in the interim. I can't reboot my machine. If I reboot my machine, we'll lose connectivity to YouTube. Mike could reboot.
Has anyone gone into Slack?
They can see us on YouTube, and I've got another machine. But the point is, they're looking at your machine, and you can't do a thing. So I was going to say, can you do that? No. Is your mouse actually moving?
No.
No, see, mine is. My mouse is moving. I don't think there's a correlation between the two. I really don't. Because you're just sharing your screen.
Yeah.
So I think we've been hoisted by the technical petard. I think we've upset everything tonight. So can you finish that at a future date?
Yes.
I'm going to go back and have a look at my running order and see what I can actually say. You keep them You've got the only open microphone as well. I can't turn my microphone on either.
It's an early night then, MacBiters.
Oh, let me get back over here.
So, should we go and get something to eat?
Oh, God, not so funny. Right, let me head back to the chat. See, they can hear us.
They can hear us.
About the only thing that's working is the sound.
Right.
If I could get rid of that dialogue box...
I could sing.
No, please don't.
No, that would put them off. That would put them off, wouldn't it?
See that there? Open system preferences. It won't let me go any further.
Oh.
And nothing anywhere I click is doing a thing.
Oh.
But we're still broadcasting. Could you do it in Slack for formula, etc.? Now we're being told the sound's gone. I don't think the sound has gone.
Hello, hello, hello.
No, I can still see it bouncing. I'm further away from the microphone. That's the problem. It looks like the whole kit has been at the Toblerone, I think. I can't even see the presentation. Now, that's never happened, has it?
No.
All that's happened on mine, I don't know what on earth is wrong with yours, but all that's happened on mine is that dialogue box that's been bothering us all night, asking for permission, is just sat there and not doing a thing.
This... I can't even switch between...
Well, that's just dead, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was at 50-odd% when we started.
Oh, it's not dead. It would have told you if it was dead. Plus the fact the mouse isn't working.
True.
So no, we've managed to... What's the technical term? Knacker.
Bugger also.
We've managed to kill 2 machines. But we're still broadcasting, so that's amazing. Right, I think all we can do at that point then is tell you what we had planned for next week. Which is...
A rerun of this demo.
A rerun of Mike's demo. My demo was going to be a multi-part thing to do with planning for 2020. And I had questions to ask you. Unfortunately, we're stuck on your chart.
Yes.
I'm at the stage where I'm thinking of drawing on that screen with a pen, but I don't think that's going to help either. We wanted to ask you what methodologies you use for getting things done. Is it getting things done? Is it the one thing? Let us know. So the best way you can let us know is in the chat now. Or in the Slack group. If you're not in the Slack group, you need to join the Slack group. We have had fun in the Slack group. Pete put his problem in the Slack group. We need a problem page.
We do.
In the Slack
Pete's
group.
Page.
Pete's problem page in the Slack group. So he put it in there and it was answered tonight. So
where's my USB mouse?
I've no idea, Mike, but sit down. What difference will it make? I don't think it's the Wi-Fi that's gone. He's determined to try, so I'll keep talking while he keeps fiddling, bless him. All to do with productivity, what methodologies you use, if anything. What tools do you use? Do you go analogue? Do you bullet journal? I've tried 2 mice, it's not working. You have killed it. Please leave it alone, because then we'll lose the picture as well. So I was thinking next week, 3rd of January, 9 o'clock, we could start the year right. And I have been promising for a while that I would show you how I built my system in Notion, how I built the individual tables, how I hook them up, and how the whole thing works. So that's the way I do it. Mike's more of a back of a fag packet man.
Yeah.
So he'll show you that. Packet of pens and edges. But we need you to tell us what you would like to see covered. And the best way to do that is in the Slack room. If you are not in the Slack room, you need to go to macbites.co.uk/Slack. If you are already a member, it will prompt you to log in, or it will log you in automatically. If you are not, it will take you through the onboarding, which is basically give it an email address, give it a password, and you're in. Inside the Slack group, which I wish I could show you, but 2 machines are terminal right now, you'll find different channels. You are not automatically added to everything. You get to choose which ones you want to be added to, but you can read everything. So you don't actually have to be part of a channel to be able to read it. So we've got about, I think it's 7 or 8 channels in there now. One of which was a great suggestion, which was critiques. So we've added that. So if you want feedback on anything, put it in there. But there's also tech chat and random. Random's doing rather well. And we've been sharing pictures and all sorts. So that's proved fabulous. And it's just as well it's proved fabulous, because looks like that's all we've got until this time next week. I'd love to know what went wrong there.
So would I.
I'm amazed it's still broadcasting. I can't see the chat. Can you see the chat on YouTube? I'm getting Mike to get the chat while I disappear to see if I can see the chat on the other machine. Oh, oh yes, I've got comments. I've got comments. I'll tell you what, let me move that. Let me bring that with me. There we go. Right, I've got a laptop. There we go. Nothing that can't be solved with about 5 grand's worth of kit. Right, I can now see the chat. Can you command tab into it? Nope, command and tab's not working. Nothing is working. There's no screen movement on mine. I've closed down every app I can close down with command and Q. So sometimes my alt and tab is working, but it won't alt and tab to the dialogue that's causing the problem. So the only option I've got is to pull the plug. That's all I can do. But if I pull the plug on mine, we lose you, and that's not good. So I'm just leaving mine alone. What on earth is wrong with Mike's? I have no idea. But the symptom's very similar, but I can't believe it's linked. No, I don't think it's linked. I just think it's in a mood. Anyway, I am seeing GTD. Excellent. You just don't get them done.
Deborah wants to know what the question is.
What was the question? Right. What productivity method do you use, if any? What tools do you use? Let us know. Let us know. Mine's sort of a hybrid of GTD, mixed in with quite a few other methodologies. I don't think pure GTD would do it for me on its own. Now Mike's got me in stereo. Oh, I'm still broadcasting. It's just that we're all looking at your screen.
Yeah.
And that's about all that we can do, which is shocking. Ah, right. Another OmniFocus user. I've used OmniFocus. Love OmniFocus on the watch. Just another reason to get that map. But Graham, you're so right. But you know what? I much prefer the first gen, the cheese grater. Apart from the price of this one, which is basically 2 kidneys. It's not good. Mind you, maybe Pete could do us a deal on kidneys. Yeah, some people don't need both, do they? They could donate them to me. Slack's the technical agony aunt page for me. It is. Put your stuff in there. You see, I can't help myself, Pete. You put something in and you think, oh, well, how difficult can that be? And 3 weeks later, anyway, it's all solved now. And the dictionary one proved well for you as well. That was a question you didn't even think to ask me. And you got an answer to. Amazing.
You were trying another battery.
I'm clearly clairvoyant. It's not your mouse, because if it was your mouse, your alt and tab would be working. Sure. And your alt and tab is not working. Yeah, it's dead. It's dead. Just accept it. It's dead.
It's pining for the field.
Oh, you like the new one, Paul? It's a little bit... I just think the other one was a nicer style. What would happen if Mike turned his machine off and freed up yours? If Mike turned his off, you'd still have audio. You wouldn't have anything on the screen, would you?
No.
So it wouldn't really help. It's mine that needs a reboot by the look of it, but I've never known it lock up like that. There you go. You see, if I had a dialysis machine, I could sell mine too. Yeah, I don't think that's enough actually, because the price was about 50 grand, wasn't it? Mind you, if an average kidney is 25, 26 grand. Yeah, trouble is, you've only got the 2. You can't grow kidneys. Now, livers, on the other hand, if anyone was in the market for a liver, I saw an X-Files episode once. That was scary, that one, but I like that. So, starting next week, it's going to be productivity. So you let us know what apps you use, what methodologies you use. I'll be showing you what I do. Mike could show you what he does. He ever gets round to doing it. And in the meanwhile, we shall chat like fury in the week in the Slack room. And now, what else did I have tonight? I had unboxings. Now I can't wait to get at my toys. But if I have to open them, I'll video it.
You can sellotape them up again.
That wouldn't be the same, would it? It wouldn't. I might have to, if I've got to open them, I'll do videos of them. And then well, you know what I could do? I could do sneak peeks in the Slack room. Yeah. That'd work. Yeah, there you go. How in the world do you know the price of a kidney? Kim. There was a fabulous TV series on called Temple. Has anybody seen it? Not The Saint, Simon Templar. It was called Temple, and it was on... I saw it on Now TV. Now, what was the name of that guy in it? Oh, that's going to annoy me. Is it Stanley Tucci? Or was it the other guy? There was this guy in it, very good actor anyway. Two very good actors in it. So I decided I would watch it. And basically, his wife is in need of a kidney. And he sells his car and raises money, and I think he paid $26,000 for it. This is how I know the value of a kidney.
That's only half a Mac Pro.
It's only half a Mac Pro, sadly. And trouble is with a Mac Pro, it would age. When you think of your iMacs and stuff. No, I don't think a Mac Pro is going to happen in my lifetime. Not unless I win the lottery. And the way things have gone this week, yes, Paul, I think you're spot on. I can blame Mike then. I'm snuffly and Mike's snuffly and the machines have had it. I can't, and I see yours is dimming down. So eventually that's going to turn off. We are going to be talking over a black screen because you can't stop it going to sleep, can you? No, there you go, it's gone now. Okay, so you're now looking at a black screen. We may or may not still be there.
Oh, we are still there.
We're still there, but you're looking at a black screen. So I think we're going to have to call it a night, aren't we? Now, you see, I'm going to blame Mike here because he should have used amphetamine. And then, not the drug, obviously. Then his machine would have stayed awake. And that's part of my pre-show checklist. Giving him a Paddington meaningful stare now.
Still wouldn't have helped the demo, though, would it?
It wouldn't have helped the demo, no, but at least we wouldn't be talking over a black screen. So I think the computers and technology have got the better of us. They've had enough of 2019. We're going to have to head off to the Slack room and have something to eat, I think. Everything that was there tonight that we didn't get covered, we will cover. We will in the next show. We'll just have to be on for even longer and squeeze it all in, won't we? So everything that we had planned for tonight, we absolutely will.
Shall I just go into the demo halfway through? Like when they abandon a football match and then they replay it.
Drop ball.
And then they start at the point on the clock.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'll work. Absolutely.
I'm sure they can remember.
No, we will source it. It's a very nice blank screen. You couldn't make this up, could you? I've no idea. I was sat there minding my own business. And I thought, why isn't the mouse working? Because you know it transferred over perfectly. And then I found this dialog box and it just won't let me click it. It won't let me click anywhere. So I managed to close a few things down with Command and Q. I've got the activity monitor up. I was trying to close it from there. It's not having it. Not having it full stop. In fact, I won't be able to stop the broadcast. I'll stop the broadcast on another machine, but on that machine, I hope they don't mess up the lip sync because I've no idea if I'm going to have a recording because I've got no option but to turn it off. So anything could happen. But hey, on the upside, you've got to be in the Slack room because you'll hear me venting about this for the next week. I'll be telling you all the dirty behind the scenes things that went on and all the kind of language that was thrown at it while we try and fix it. But unfortunately, I think we are going to have to go and have something to eat. As are you guys. Oh, that's not good. What a way to finish the year. But we'll be in the Slack room. Horse, close the dialog box. Can't get to it in any way, shape or form, Pete. I've got activity monitor open. I can't get to that. The Alt and Tab's not working. Nothing's working. Literally nothing's working. And Mike's got exactly the same problem. But it can't be related because mine's still broadcasting. And yours isn't. Now he's trying to plug it in. He's convinced it's not dead, but trust me, it's dead. If I could force close the dialogue box, I absolutely would. I was trying for about 20 minutes while Mike was talking. And I was thinking, as long as I'm still broadcasting, don't mess the recording up. I need to rewatch it. I will do my best. We'll think of it as a test, won't we, for Camtasia? What I'll tell you is I'm recording it with ScreenFlow, I'm recording it with Camtasia, and YouTube is recording it. So we've got 3 options here. Let's see which one works. One of them has got to work, hasn't it? It will, honestly, Pete. We'll find a way. We will. So we're going to head off into the Slack room because we can't really do much else. But give us a chance to get there because we've both got to reboot. Not good. Well, I hope you have a fantastic, fantastic New Year. As I say, we will be in and about in the chat room. And Paul, just remember the styles. Yeah, remember the styles. Pete, don't forget the styles. We will make that work for you. All 144,000 words of it. It'll all be fine. They'll give you a knighthood when it's finished, you know.
I didn't realise Stephen had just done a typo.
Indeed, absolutely appropriate. And I was in the middle of trying the camel case in the dictionary thing as well. So there's me sorted for the week. Oh, but that's shocking, isn't it? How we're doing the chat is with a secondary machine. So luckily, this secondary machine, this is why we don't do it all on one machine. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to stop the recording full stop. We should be okay as long as YouTube don't muck up the sync. So fingers crossed for the sync, because otherwise Pete's going to go into a complete meltdown. But we'll be in the chat room and we will see you next week, the 3rd of January at 9 o'clock. At which point we possibly might have 2 more Macs. Just in case anything happens to the first 2 Macs. But we'll be back soon. So it's good night from me.
It's good night from me.
We'll both see you next time. And hopefully you'll be looking at more than a black screen. But have a really good New Year. We'll see you in the Slack channel. Bye-bye.